Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're watching this video. How are you guys doing? So today we'll be talking about why African women cannot inherit properties. People say these things, it's not an African thing. I think it's out of selfishness, greed, that makes people think this way, because there are a lot of men in Africa, in Nigeria, in South Africa, in Ghana, that want their wives to inherit their property. Likewise, their wives wanting them to inherit their properties. Why am I saying this? I had a colleague where we sat in the office one day, we were having a conversation about next of kin. And I will do a separate video on next of kin, but let me say something. A lot of people mistake next of kin for somebody inheriting your property. They are two different things according to the Nigerian law. But making your spouse inherit your property, it's safer because than making your siblings inherit, because most people write a will and put their siblings. That one is a different video. You see, will, next of kin, and inheritance, they are supposed to be different topics, but okay, let me put all together. Let me start from the will. Everybody, be it once you are able to start earning an income, you're supposed to write your will. Writing a will does not mean that you are going to die the next minute. No, it doesn't mean that. It means that you are being responsible for the people you eat, because we don't know with the hour God will call anybody. So you are supposed to write your will as far as you start earning an income, so that whatever happens, it will be easy for them to share the properties or know who is taking what. It's not out of selfishness that they ask people to write their will. So now when you write your will, the will enables your lawyer, because the will stays with the lawyer. It enables him to, or her, to sit down with your family after your demise to be able to tell you this is what is for you and this is what is for the other person, and there will be no issues. But when somebody does not write a will, it causes for problems, because this one will be saying, my father did this, my mother did this and cared for me, and I didn't get it. Now, in some families, what they do is they don't do a written will. What they do is that they buy properties in each person's name. Like now, maybe your father bought a property in Asokoro with your name, it belongs to you, goes to another place like that. So he didn't write the will, but he shared the properties by just, how would I put it? It's an unwritten will, but he had already shared his property, or they've already shared their property, as the case may be, either the parent, the mother, or the father. Now, for next of kin, a next of kin is not somebody that inherits your property. It's just that most times we mix it up in the context of inheritance. No, a next of kin is somebody that they will contact in case of an emergency. Most times it could be your family member, like your blood brother or sister, or your cousin, or your wife, or your children. But it's always important to put your spouse, either husband or wife, as next of kin, because they are the ones that are in your life and they know everything that happens in your life. So they'll be able to, when they are called upon in case of an emergency, to give lead. Like now, the bank will need the next of kin to be able to, contact you in case of death or something that happened, and maybe you are incapacitated and you cannot move or cannot talk. Your next of kin will be able to be the go-between, like between you and the bank or whatever organization you work for. So I want people to remove this mentality that it's an African thing, that a woman is not supposed to inherit her husband's properties. The property is supposed to be for his own family. Then if that's the case, why did you marry the woman? Because the Bible, when you are exchanging your vows, you say, and all my worldly goods I share with you. So if you are saying that all my worldly goods I share with you, and you are not doing it the right way, it means that when you leave this world, the woman will suffer with the children. So it's usually advisable to use your spouse as your next of kin, and also your spouse. Ensure that you give them a better portion of your will. Do not just write scatteredly or try to please other people, because the truth is, when you leave this earth, nobody cares about your family. It has happened to me. It has happened to my friend who lost her husband. The family looked as though they cared so much. In fact, the guy was the one who was almost like the breadwinner, overall breadwinner, but when he died, the family neglected that, my friend. So all of these things happens. There are families that a man dies, they build together with the wife, and the man has refused to change his next of kin. And the truth is that it's the next of kin that will be able to give them information to us. Okay, what happened that led to the death? Okay, this is how much your brother or father had with us, or your mother, and we want to meet with the family. It is the next of kin they will negotiate with to meet the family. So that's just the next of kin, but it's not the next of kin that will take your properties. No, it's just like in case of emergency, who to call. And this thing people say, why would a woman that instead of them, a lot of people, because they are in their layman understanding, they'll say that instead of them to put their wives as next of kin, they'll put their children. How do you put a child that is underage as next of kin? Do they have a phone? Because in the column where you fill next of kin, you see that you are supposed to have a phone number where they can contact you. So your child do not, except your child is 18 and has a phone and understands what's going on, you cannot make that child the next of kin. You're just wasting your time. At the end of the day, your wife or husband will still be the person. So now my own is that whether it is a man or woman, couples should be each other's next of kin. That's my candid advice. Not that, because some people feel that this woman, the guy in my office told me that the woman is not his blood. So why did you marry her? And that is why I feel that a lot of people marry because of what people will say, not because they know they understand the institution called marriage. They just want to marry for procreation. And remember that God, the first reason God created marriage was because he said it was not good for Adam to be alone, meaning that he created marriage first of all for companionship before thinking of procreation. Companionship was the primary reason God created marriage before procreation. Procreation is the secondary reason. So when you are getting into a relationship or marriage, see your partner as though it's part of you, because the Bible says that he caused Adam to sleep and removed his rib, and the woman became bone of his bone, flesh of his flesh. So when you begin to see your wife as an outsider, that's already a red flag. And I tell women that when you meet a man who is always saying my car, my house, my this, a guy that is already showing consent that he wants to get married to you, that's and he keeps saying everything my, you should be careful, watch those things, because those red flags are very important. So basically, that's what I just want to let you guys know, that it is not an African thing for women not to inherit their husband's properties. It is not an African thing, because a lot of African men that I know, they go all out to ensure that their wives inherit their properties. For those of them who, and sometimes the truth is that these men get so busy that they forget to change their next of kin when they get married. And women also, most times even women that remember to change it to their husbands, but the men forget. And death, nobody plans for it, it just comes. It's something that is an appointment that everybody will keep someday, but we all pray to get older, maybe from 100 years before it comes. But some men forget, and I feel that I have close friends that their husbands forgot, and man, it wasn't funny. If not that the organizations where their husbands worked, it was easy for them to say, okay, let's deal with the wife. Outside that, it would have been a very bad thing, because their sisters or brothers were still their next of kin at the point of death. So, do you understand? So I want you, as you watch this video, if you are married, husband or wife, sit down with your wife. People should agree, be each other's next of kin. Change it. If you are getting married, ensure that your wife becomes your next of kin, or your husband becomes. So it's not an African thing. It doesn't have anything to do with Africa. Let's stop all this stereotype. Did you get? It's not an African thing. And the next thing I'll be talking about maybe is court marriage, because I've seen a lot of things flying on the internet about court marriage. So maybe our next topic will be on court marriage as it affects the African woman and man. Thank you guys for watching this video. If this video means, or you learned anything in this video, consider subscribing, consider following the page. If you're on Facebook or you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, share this video, watch our advertisement, and support the channel. And see you guys in our next one. Bye.